Hey out there. Welcome to the WhoDeannyPod. I'm your host, Franklin Oliver. Today is Thursday, and I thought that I would share three theories that have been sort of bouncing around in my head for the last couple days. One of them's been bouncing around for a few months, one of them's been bouncing around for about 6 weeks, and the other one is kind of brand new, actually. Let's start with the brand new one. So, this weekend coming up is WNBA All-Star Weekend. And like most pro basketball fans, I'm very excited about it. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to share more thoughts about it. So, well, this is what should be the greatest moment in WNBA history. We'll have to see how much Kathy Engelbert messes that up. Anyway, um, I'm also a big NBA fan, and the driving question to the whole league right now is where's LeBron going to play next year? Or maybe the next couple, or maybe the next 3 years. Well, this would be a really bad time for him to make that announcement because it would seem to take away some of the shine off the WNBA. It's going to give them their weekend, and maybe next week LeBron will make an announcement. Well, my theory is that he'll make his announcement on August 1st or August 2nd in Minneapolis at SummerSlam. So, SummerSlam is WWE's most important summertime event. And this year, it's 2 days for the first time. It's a Saturday and Sunday. And apparently, they're not selling tickets super well. Maybe it's because the tickets are incredibly high. Maybe it's because it's in Minneapolis. And in the summertime in Minneapolis, people want to spend time outside, not inside. Maybe it's because they're not giving the people what they want. Whatever. Well, I think this would be a great tag team venture, if you will, between LeBron and WWE. And, of course, the Minnesota Timberwolves. That would be great. Um, so, a few big things. Well, this is a Netflix branded event. I don't know how long this has been going on, some months. And uh, Netflix happens to be the host of Rich Paul's podcast. If you don't know who Rich Paul is, nothing I can say right now is going to make any sense to you. But this is the kind of cross promotion that LeBron is just tremendous at doing. My guess is that the creative head of WWE, Triple H, will come out and talk about how many tickets they sold on the weekend and what a success it is to have this first 2 night SummerSlam event. And I think it's the first hour that airs free on ESPN. And then you have to pay for some upgrade to get the rest of it. Well, how about right before that free hour ends, you have music you're not recognizing. And LeBron comes out in a Robert Smith jersey or maybe a Chris Carter jersey. LeBron is a dedicated fan of Ohio State. And those two guys are Ohio State alums and Viking legends. Maybe he comes out with Kevin Garnett or Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, whatever. He comes out and he's going to get a massive pop from this championship starved fan base. The Minnesota Lynx have won championships recently, but none of the men's pro sports teams in Minneapolis and St. Paul have done that since 91. Yeah, since 91. Um, damn. Yeah, that's a long time. It would make great sense, and LeBron would get the attention he wants. He'd get lots of celebration, and it would be replayed endlessly for the next week. ESPN wins, LeBron wins, WWE wins, all kinds of good stuff. Okay, I'm going to move from one theory where everybody wins to a theory where, honestly, we're all losing. Um, okay. I don't know exactly how this works. I just am not in the game anymore. But my theory is that we're going to have confirmation the next time we get any kind of polling from presidential scholars and historians that Donald Trump is going to have the worst and second worst presidencies of all time. Now, that's saying a lot. We've had some really fantastically shitty presidents. And we'll still have Andrew Johnson and Herbert Hoover and Warren G. Harding's down there competing for the worst. But I think it's going to be 1 and 2. He's going to be the biggest loser in presidential history. I think that's how people are going to respond as soon as we get another one of those polls. I suppose the good thing from the perspective of an historian like myself is that James Buchanan and Franklin Pierce, the predecessors to Abraham Lincoln, maybe are going to get a respite from their perpetual bottom 5 status. Okay, and speaking of status, my last theory is that Schrodinger's senator remains simultaneously alive and dead. Yeah, it's Mitch the Turtle. My guess is that Mitch McConnell is functionally dead and also alive enough that his body's so warm. I mean, cold-blooded animals to begin with, so probably not that warm, but warm. And it makes more sense than I wanted it to when I started thinking about this. So, a few things. Well, the Republican Party has already shown multiple occasions that they're perfectly happy to use women as birthing vessels even after they're brain dead. So, why wouldn't we have our demonic turtle senator as a mostly dead placeholder? That makes perfect sense. After all, we now have as a placeholder in South Carolina a dead guy's sister. I'd never heard of Earlene Graham. Sorry, I don't even remember her last name. Uh, she's married and I think has a hyphenated name. Or maybe she doesn't have a hyphenated name and it's just inserting Graham to make it sound better. Kind of like the way Trump started using his middle initial because everyone else was Senator Marco Rubio and Governor Jeb Bush, and he was just Donnie Trump. I don't know. Anyway, it feels kind of weird how quickly they moved on in one situation and how slowly they're moving in another, right? I mean, Lindsey Graham was not cold when they replaced him. They scrubbed some of the glitter off and then just moved on. Actually, what I heard was that the last time Lindsey exited the building that fast was in the 90s when John McCain took him to a titty bar. Okay, well, back to the other dead senator. Mitch McConnell really deserves to be treated like a punchline while he slithers out of his mortal shell, mortal shell, off this mortal coil. Remember, he's the one that started using the death timing playbook several years ago when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and he just wouldn't allow her to be replaced on the Supreme Court. When people talk about the illegitimacy of SCOTUS, this is what they're talking about. All the protocols changed when it's a Republican president who's going to nominate a justice as opposed to when a Democratic president is going to nominate a justice. And this is Mitch McConnell all day long. It's kind of creepy talking about someone who might be dead or might be alive, and we just don't know. It's not the way it's supposed to work. But that's kind of where we are in 2026 America. I have long described the Republican Party as a cult of personality, and now it's officially a death cult, too. There seems to be no low that's too low for this macabre menagerie masquerading as a political party. Ugh. I wish it were not so. Well, thanks for joining us on the WhoDeannyPod. Remember to do good and be well.